Live in action once again, reunited, and it feels so good. Bob McGinn on the Go Long podcast. Ty and Bob, whatever we want to call this special edition with the Hall of Famer himself, mentor, friend, Bob McGinn. How in the hell are you? I'm so
Great,
glad I was able to
Tyler.
coax you into this.
I like that. What was that? So your the song you alluded to in your opening remark there, was that Peaches and Herb or something? Or
Oh, yeah. Do you want to sing us a rendition?
I don't think so. No, I'm tone deaf.
We do need to get back to, technologically, I've been doing this for 5 years. I got to figure out how we can incorporate songs again, like we used to at the Journal Sentinel days. And we'd go
Yeah,
back and forth picking tracks. We got to
yeah.
do it. I don't know the copyright laws. I, took a little comm law at Syracuse. Probably should open that textbook somewhere behind me, but we'll make it happen. Let's do it. Let's promise the readers and listeners right now we're bringing back songs so we can riff off those in the intro.
That'd
Have
be
you
fun.
have you been listening to any good music lately? Like, do you put the tunes on when you're working on this series?
Oh God, no. Do you write with music?
I do.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's got to be the right music though. It's got to be calm, Bon Iver,
Ed
O.C. Elliott,
Sheeran. Ed
Nathaniel
Sheeran's your
Rateliff.
boy.
Ed Sheeran's a little too
Oh,
fast to write.
okay.
You can't go. It's got to flow with the thoughts. If that makes any
I'm
sense.
I'm a hermetically sealed writer, Tyler. You remember that, how I'd flee from the main press box and go in the coach's booths?
Oh my god, I loved that. Yeah, for those who don't know, so up in that Packers press box.
Any
So by the
press
time
box,
any
anywhere.
press box, yeah, any
Yeah.
press box. Get back after interviewing all the players down there in the locker rooms, and Bob just packs up his shit, gets out of Dodge, finds a coach's booth somewhere, and hunkers down.
Yep. All by myself.
You submerge yourself. And now, would you, if I remember right, I remember you by hand transcribing quotes and stuff, and then you would type it into your story from there.
Correct. I spent an hour and a half or two transcribing what was on my tape recorder, all the interviews in the two locker rooms, transcribe all that shit on yellow legal stuff, then start writing off the hard copy.
That is a huge part of the process, though. I'm not doing it by hand, but like these bigger features, I'll show the people watching the video. Like I will print out all these quotes and like use different colored highlighters to map out a story. I feel like you have to transcribe every word to consciously and subconsciously let it like marinate in your writing brain so it gives you a better grasp, a better feel for the story. But like these features, I could spend weeks reporting and mapping and writing on. Deadline's a little trickier to do that kind of stuff, Bob. So I was always impressed that you could work lickety split like that.
But nowadays, our friends Tom Silverstein and the gang, they have such tight deadlines. I couldn't be doing any transcribing.
Oh,
You'd be barely able to get to the locker room, and then you'd be back and just writing whatever you would scribble with your hand on a notebook, right? I,
I feel awful for our friends in the newspaper business still. I mean,
yeah,
Jay Skursky, we've talked about it, the Buffalo News. Love a lot of people there. I mean, great reporters, great writers. And I mean, hell, a 1 o'clock game, I don't think they can get any quotes into the stories. The paper's printed in Cleveland, not even in Buffalo
really?
anymore. Yeah,
Ah, I know.
it's
Just
sad.
sad, sad, sad.
So, yeah, there you are in the coach's booth, getting it done. Oh, yeah, I forgot how we got on this. So, your draft series, when you're grinding away, what does the scene look like there in Saline, Michigan? In the office, no music. Are the blinds pulled? Are you in the pitch black dark? A
No, I
candle
don't pull the
lit
blind. The one thing I
glass of
do,
bourbon?
and there's no noise in the house, but anyway, I turn on a sound machine. You know, those little oval sound machines kind
Yeah,
of a
like
deal.
for toddlers.
Yeah. I turn that thing up high so I can't even can't hear myself breathe, just nothing, you know? Just a screen and some notes, eh, Tyler?
You're like in the baby section at Target looking for sound machines for draft season.
Uh,
Well, it was spectacular once again. Bob, I look forward to this every year as hundreds upon thousands do. You cover the NFL draft. Unlike anybody in the business, obviously, I am biased because we've got you here at Go Along, but I'd be saying the same thing if you were working for a direct competitor and we never met before. Nobody is delivering you a true reflection for how the NFL views prospects, quite like Bob right here. He's done it 41 years now. And these are, relationships built up over time, but also like new relationships, younger scouts too. I want to like point that out for people who think we've got a veteran scribe here. By the way, you got way more hair than me, so yeah, you're very spry, if I must say so myself. The ladies would say a silver fox. You're looking good there, Bob. But it's not like you're just talking to these 80-year-old scouts, Um,
They're all
it's
long gone.
they're,
I mean, they're
you've got
gone.
scouts from all, yeah, right, they're gone. You've got scouts from all ages, diverse backgrounds. So yeah, don't get me on that high horse to respond to the nitwits out there who, you know, have thoughts from the rafters. But anyways, it was incredible. Look, you can, and we're going to get into everything on this podcast with Bob. We'll discuss our mutually hated exercise known as the mock draft. We'll get into mock drafts. We'll talk about Bob's reporting, the value of anonymous sources. We'll get into the Wonderlick, the 40-yard dash. We'll probably touch on those quarterbacks and some prospects too. Uh, but yeah, Bob, it was great. I encourage everybody out there, if you haven't, subscribe, read, digest. You're going to get the good, the bad, the ugly. And like you say every year, Bob, I mean, two scouts can look at a prospect and see totally different things. And that's the beauty of the profession. And you're just presenting all of it. It is a full spectrum, full canvas of how the NFL views everyone from Cam Worshiter or Sanders down to a random player who was in a religious cult. That was wild. Uh, you're going to get it all at Go Along. So thank you to everybody who has joined our community. Where do you want to start, Bob McGinn? Where shall we start?
So I'd like to say really thanks to the readers, Tyler. I mean, they've followed this thing, some people for 41 years, and they've seen changes in formats, changes in structure. I interviewed scouts by name, used their names for 30 years. Now the last 10, there's been no names. They've been with me with that change. I mean, the series couldn't have continued. I was begging people the last couple, 3 years to let me use their name on just whatever things it was. And I just couldn't continue. And I threw up my hands and finally just decided to make that switch. So they've been through that, through thick and thin. They understand what I'm trying to do. I don't know. As you pointed out, you alerted me. I took some shots after part one of a 12-part series. I don't know. The last thing I do is attack anybody in the media. I mean, it's just a waste of time for a reader to have to worry about some jealousy or some relationship between two members of the media. Who cares? I'm not the story. It's the players and the draft of the story. And nobody called me, nobody tried to contact me to give me a chance to comment, just flat out. I don't know. I don't even know these sites. You pointed out, I'm sure they do a good job. I don't know, but they're attacking me after one part of the series, and we can get in the. Okay, so that's about it. But
Right, that's probably worth about 2 seconds of oxygen. I wasn't even going to bring it up. It's just not even. People don't give a shit. So, like, if you get it, you get it. Like we write for the people who value the unvarnished analysis on these prospects. If you don't, if you don't want to consider the source of Bob McGinn, Hall of Fame, covered the NFL since 1979, built up these relationships, can decipher through all of this, what's real, what's not real, and bring to you a true reflection of the NFL. If you can't appreciate that, if you don't want that, the good thing is for those people, there are a lot of other outlets to go to, right? Pull up the YouTube highlight reel. Get all excited, right? Put the popcorn on and tell yourself that every single prospect is going to be in Canton, make 10 Pro Bowls and save your franchise. I mean, that option is available for those who prefer that option. Trust me. You can find it at the tap of a finger. Um, I mean, it's there's a lot of sensitivity and people are offended, and it's just this shit isn't being invented. I told people this back when I did the Bill series, December of 2023. There's a lot of good, bad, and ugly in that too. It's not getting pulled out of thin air, right? All right, let's get back on track.
All right. You want to start with the 40 times, Tyler?
Yeah, let's talk about the 40.
All right. So I don't make typos on the 40. Okay. I go to great lengths to get the 40 accurately. There's no typos on 40. I go through that stuff with a fine tooth comb after I write it, go through it again, fine tooth comb before I send it to you. It's not a typo. All right. About 15 years ago, the combine started using these electronic timing devices, and they would report those electronic times to all the teams about a week later in their combine master result sheets. All 32 teams get these results. I think, as everybody knows, there's two people designated by the combine, National Football Scouting. They sit at the finish line, and they are with handheld watches, and they are the two handheld timers for that entire draft. So I get access to those times. So, and then there's an electronic timing. So let's say if a guy runs a 40-yard dash twice. On the first one, there's two handheld clocks and an electronic timing. The second 40, same thing, two handhelds and one electronic. Now, somebody has declared the lowest of the two electronic timings as the so-called official time. I don't know if that's a result of NFL Network. I suspect it is. But to me, there's no official 40 time. And let me tell you why. I disregard the electronic timing. I've never looked at them. I don't even care about them. Why? Because you cannot compare that electronic time to then the 40 times being run at pro days for the next month after the combine. I talked to a scout about this again 2 days ago. He can remember less than on one hand the amount of electronic timing devices he's seen at college pro days, Power Four. Almost nobody has electronic timings on campus. But even if they did, he traveled 200, 300, 400 miles, whatever, to go to this thing. He's using his own handheld time. They don't even, those colleges, and he told me those colleges, if they do have an electronic timing device, they don't give it to the teams for certain. You might have to ask for it, but they don't care. So now let's get back to the example of Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. Let me mention the surface first, Tyler, okay? So this is field turf at Indy, and I consider that to be the base surface, okay? Now, if a guy was to run on AstroTurf at a campus on a pro day, I would add either between 0.03 and 0.05. This is what scouts have told me they do. If they run on grass, they used to do that at the University of Miami. Almost nobody does it anymore. I would subtract 0.03 to 0.05. If they ran on a track, I'd add 0.09. If they wear pin spikes, I think at Colorado this year, it was one or two of them. I'd add time on that. I mean, they're a lot faster. No, I'd subtract. Okay, if pin spikes make you faster, so then I would subtract off their time. All right. Let's go to the example of Iowa State wide receiver Jaden Higgins, okay?
Mm-hmm.
His first 40 at the combine, the two handhelds were 4.52 and 4.50. To me, that's an average of 4.51. Then on the second 40, he ran 4.59 and 4.56. That's an average of, I lowered down 4.57. Now, his electronic times on the first one was 4.47. His second one was 4.53. Now, the NFL Network, the official time is 4.47 for Jaden Higgins. I don't give a damn about what official or what NFL Network says. I disregard that. I go to the average of the handheld. So let's look at it. The first one averaged 4.51. The two watches on the first 40. The second one average was 4.57. Now I got a 4.51 and a 4.57. This is exactly what teams do. About 20 years ago, a lot of teams, and I did it back then, I took the lowest 40. If a guy can run low, you go with it. Teams have really changed on this now. They average the 240s. So the average of 4.51 and 4.57 is 4.54. And that's what I gave Jaden Higgins, 4.54. Now the official is 4.47. Fine, I don't care about that. Normally the low electronic time deemed official is closer to the handheld average than it was the case of Higgins. But that's neither here nor there. I'm consistent. Now, did Higgins run a 40 at Pro Day in Ames? No, he did not. If he had, and if it was the same surface at Indy, I would have taken that, maybe a 4.50, compared it to my 4.54. I would have split the difference and gone 4.52. So I'm not doing this shit willy-nilly, Tyler, okay? I've talked to scouts about this stuff for years and years about surface,
Yeah.
how they handle this stuff. No, I'm not doing typos, and I do have a method to my madness. The electronic time, do whatever you want on TV. I don't care. I'm not recognizing that.
Well, there you have it at Ron. What is it? At RCon14. He broached the subject for our discussion here. Yeah, that just is another example of there's an NFL portrayed on Twitter, on the league's network, on any network on TV, and there's this NFL that is taking place amongst the people who actually are part of the NFL, the scouts, the coaches, the players, what's happening behind the scenes, and this is how they get to a 40-yard time. This is what they use. This is what they do. It's been the case for years, and that's beautifully put. Bob, thanks for breaking that down.
Tyler, let me mention one more thing. Now, when you watch the combine and you see all those scouts up in the bleachers, probably half of them are down at the finish line, some are at the start line, somewhere in the middle. They all have their own watches. Now, they're not going to use those handhelds provided by the combine by those two guys sitting on chairs at the finish line. No, they're going to use their own time. I mean, every guy times a little bit different. It depends on maybe your reactions, your age, whatever. And they know their own watch. They know that they're going to compare it to what they've done for their whole careers. They're going to use their time, and they're going to use others in the organization. They might have 6 watches on each 40 at the combine. They're going to have one guy gathering all those 6 times, averaging them out. That's how they're going to work. They're not going to use that electronic. That's a TV creation. That's BS. It's not used in the business.
Anything else on the 40?
No, I'm done. Sorry. Sorry for getting a little worked up, Tyler.
You should get worked up because